Oh, wait, we'll call the meeting to order. It is 7:15. The first item is our flag salute. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. Oh. The first item is the roll call.
Okay. Ms. Bollenbacher is absent. Mr. Chandler is absent. Ms. Compatello,
Here.
Mr. Marks,
Here.
Mr. Oliverio,
Here.
Ms. Pekalnik,
Here.
and Mr. Radilla is absent. Mayor Perry.
Here.
Solicitor Corbel.
I'm here.
So I was about to replace you with an engineer. Yeah.
Is my doctor calling you?
And tonight we have a visiting engineer from Gateway, Mr. Haberman.
I'm here.
Thank you. And myself, thank you.
All right, we have a quorum. All right, on the OneDrive for the consent agenda, we have the council meeting minutes from October 26th, the bill list from November 9th, and the September reports for the manager's report, budget versus actual, September of 2023, and the bond sheet were put there. Now, for the bond sheet, we'll say that the bond sheet that we looked at tonight is the one that we're going by. And the budget versus actual, is that okay as it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have now updated that.
Okay. Two items I would like to pull off of the bill list are the Gateway invoice and also the BAPS Callan invoice. It was missing some pages for review today. Yeah.
It was our fault, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just didn't add them. It'll be added for the next round.
Yeah, so I'd like to have a motion with all of those items except for the bill list to remove the Gateway invoice and also the BAPS Callan invoice.
Second. Or so move, sure.
Okay, Mr. Marks,
Second.
second, Ms. Compitello, any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay. Public comments on agenda items. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and physical address for the record. So, do we have anybody that signed in? Nobody?
Nope.
And how about on Zoom?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right, President's report. I have nothing to report tonight. Mayor's report.
I have a short item. I was privileged to declare November 2nd the Dorothy Waugh Little Day here in Crafton in honor of her 100th birthday. And I have to say, our representative Deasy was there. She's a resident of Crafton Plaza. And myself am president of Rotary, and we all had to do double takes to make sure we were talking to the right lady. She came down without her walker. She's very vital, and we all should use her as and we
No, never had anybody use it before.
just pull the plug.
Yeah, I can't even do that. I wish I could do that. I can't even do that. No, they're at this front door, but there's big notices that say you can't come in. Let's see a trial.
Thanks, Greg. Anyway, as I was saying, we should all use her as our role model.
Hopefully-
And that's it for me tonight.
Yeah,
Well, I'll ask her the next time I see her
Mhm.
and I'll report it out.
Hopefully we will all have our own day in Crafton at 100. Okay. Solicitors report.
Go ahead and sign in. It's not time for public comment yet. It'll be at the end of the meeting started, yes. You can sign in, you can speak at the end.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to update council. I did send a client alert that my office issued today. I sent it to the mayor and to John and to Jim, and there was a Commonwealth Court decision yesterday that interprets the amendments to the Sunshine Act about amending the agenda. And the interpretation was the prevailing interpretation was struck down by the Commonwealth Court, which means the agenda now can only be amended for 3 reasons. One, there's an emergency, like a bona fide emergency of an emergent nature under like emergency powers, etc. 2, there is a item that arose within the last 24 hours that is de minimis in nature and does not include the expenditure of funds or entering into a contract. And then thirdly, if there are public comments at the meeting, you can add to the agenda if it is also de minimis and doesn't involve the expenditure of funds or entering into a contract. There is a 4th provision that most solicitors had interpreted, allowed you to make a motion to amend, explain why, amend the agenda and post it tomorrow. But the court's interpretation of the statute is that that's just telling you how to amend based on the 3 reasons that are listed above it. So we do anticipate it will be appealed to the Supreme Court. It is like our state Supreme Court is like the U.S. Supreme Court. So they only take cases that they want to take. So we'll have to wait for a few months to find out if it's going to be taken up by the Supreme Court. So until then, we will have a different procedure as it relates to amending the agenda. And my advice, at least initially, is to take a real hard look and make sure that your agenda is as complete as possible, because there isn't this catch-all that we've used in the past.
Yep.
So that's all I have.
Great. Managers report.
I'd just like to point out that the amended agenda that you have in front of you only had de minimis things and we did not add any items. We only made minor changes to items that already existed. So I just want to make that clear.
And you made those changes more than 24 hours in advance. Of the meeting,
Some of the small ones we did not, but
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry. Engineers report.
Oh, yeah.
I always skip one of these, so I apologize.
I thought I was off the hook. Presumably you all have the report that Rick issued. Most of the updates are in there. If you have questions on them, I can certainly take those back and answer them. I think tonight the only action would be to approve a resolution for the grant for sidewalks on Duncan. And then other than that, no real updates other than what we discussed at our meeting on Tuesday at the engineer committee regarding the alternatives and options for separation and inline storage.
Okay. Thank you. Managers report.
Okay, first thing first, the final schedule for the budget process, the last 2 meetings. We will have a budget workshop at 6:30 p.m. For the November 30th meeting. And where we'll review the last things before it will actually be advertised that day. So it'll be going out that day, but we can make any small adjustments or whatnot at the next meeting. So if any, as Mr. Oliverio mentioned, please review that as closely as possible. And because, I reviewed thousands of lines, so there's possible that there could be, a mistake here or there. So if we have other people review it, that is very helpful. And then the final meeting where we hope to adopt it is December 14th.
Okay, then I had earlier today asked whether there was a possibility, it won't change the start time, but putting the November 30th council budget after the general, well, no, we would have after the general meeting, so that we would not be as time bound for two reasons. Maybe we'll do it in 5 minutes. And so why should we sit here for 40?
Yeah.
And the other one being that maybe we need a little more than 45 minutes.
Is there any issue with that? We've advertised the times of the,
You would have to react.
Oh, okay, just, we're
Okay.
not changing the time, but we can order what we're doing. No, we're not changing the start time.
well, we,
So you're gonna do the voting meeting starting at 6:30 and not the committees.
Right.
And we advertise that the committee would be at 6:30 and the voting meeting would be at 7:15. So
Okay, then we
you would
need,
have to re-advertise.
okay, then
Yes.
let's just forget it.
okay, yeah, that's what I wasn't sure. I hadn't checked that yet, but that's what I was gonna check.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do we have the ability to continue the budget workshop afterwards, after the council meeting if necessary?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Then
so
now-
there-
All right, that solves the problem.
Okay, great.
very good.
So if we have a dense conversation and we need to continue it, we can do that. Great, okay. Okay, all right, for the next item on my portion of the agenda, the traffic study for Crafton Boulevard, for the intersections Noble, Johnson, and North and South Emily. This has led to a further conversation where we might be, we're considering other things, such as applying for a federal Safe Streets grant. And with that, we would need an action plan, and we have been investigating what is required so that if we do this study, that we are well prepared for a next step to possibly improve that corridor. So we're looking into that. So we've amended this agenda. We tabled this motion at the last meeting, and we now amended it, removing that agenda, removing the motion so that we can dig deeper into the possibilities for that corridor. And any questions?
We want to just add to that. We did table it at the last meeting, saying that we were going to look into it at the engineering meeting. The engineering meeting was this past week, and we did discuss it, and we set forth a plan to do some additional research and assess what the requirements are to do something like an action plan that would put us in line for funding. So I just wanted to clarify, we're not just tabling it again for no reason. We did talk about it at the engineering meeting this week, and we did lay out next steps to continue doing that research before we're ready to decide what our next step is that puts us in line for something that is actionable.
Great, thank you. And then moving on to the next agenda item, we need to pass a resolution for the the community block grant for year 50. We're applying just as we did last year for the Duncan Avenue sidewalk replacement. This is approximately a $60,000 project to repair the sidewalks on Duncan Street. And we're able to do that because normally you're not able to apply for CDBG funds for that type of work, but because it's low moderate income in that area, and that is, a difficult lift for the folks who live there. So we are applying for those funds to rebuild that sidewalk. In addition, they are likely to see additional work happening down there because of the sewer issues. So we would like to get this money to help those folks out. So with that, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve resolution 2023-21, confirming that Crafton Borough is applying for the CD year 50 funds in the amount of $45,000 and $45,170 to the Allegheny County through the Shar West Cog. And I apologize, I amended it, removed it, and then provided the wrong number afterwards. So it is supposed to be for $45,170.
So moved.
Ms. Compatello,
Second.
Mr. Marks, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Great, thank you. And then the next issue is something that we discussed a while back. This is the Vacant Property Recovery Program. We had an application from the resident at 55 Taylor Street to apply for the property that is directly behind there, if you want to bring it up, directly behind their house. It's a fairly odd parcel. If you look at it, if you show that first one, actually, the tracer is probably a better way to start. So this is the parcel right there, highlighted in blue. It looks like it would be a paper street in any other map, but something must have happened at some point and this got divided in a strange way. And it is that parcel that is the house at the corner at Home and Taylor is 55 Taylor. And they would like to purchase the that lot that is directly behind the house. They take care of it already. They mow it and generally take care of it. It is if you show to the other picture, it essentially that is all the way zoomed in. If you, I don't know if you can pull out a little bit. There you go. And so the first house doesn't have neither one of the first two houses really have access directly to it, and the last house has a parking pad back there, but they have they also had a garage door at one, or they have a garage door, but they've never used it as a garage. So it's not used as an access point. And that house, the one on the very end, was bought 2 years ago. And that person does not use that as an access point. But the person at 55 Taylor Street would like to purchase that and so that they can use it to park behind their house, because all of the houses that surround them have swimming pools. And in the summer, they all tend to take up the parking on the road. So this would allow us to get our tax dollars back, and they would be able to park there. And they maintain it already as it is. We have had conversations back and forth about getting easements for it and getting permissions from other neighbors. But the reality is, even if we don't approve it, any council in the near future could. And so this person would like to purchase this for those reasons. There's no way that we can, as a borough, ensure that some future council won't approve that for a neighbor or for somebody else. So I'd like to recommend that we do approve it for the VPRP. It will go back to the it'll go back to the county. The county will then have to finalize all the paperwork and approve it. They will post the property, so there will be a signpost in the property that it's being purchased through the Vacant Property Recovery Program. So everybody, all the neighbors will see it if they're interested or they have some concerns. So we have that cover. And then we will get the tax dollars back if and when it is transferred. So I would like to offer this as a motion to approve Resolution 2023-23, approve that the acquisition and subsequent disposition of the vacant property known as block and lot number 69R313 be approved.
So moved.
Ms. Compatello,
Second.
Ms. Polkownik, discussion or question?
We spoke about this previously and I don't remember the details. Who owns it currently?
Fran Shimako, who is back here in the purple coat. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she doesn't
Yeah,
own the.
I'm sorry. That's incorrect.
Who
Yes.
owns
person
it
who-
currently?
I realize I answered the wrong question. That's who is applying for it. Who owns it now is somebody who is long past. It was, I think it was last purchased in 1960,
1920.
1920. Thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
if you look it up, it's 1920. They have not paid taxes, of course.
Yeah.
And
So this is one of the ones that is still owned by someone who's no longer alive and is just sitting there.
taxes are not getting paid.
When it goes to the county and the county puts it up for sale, how does that process work? Is it just up for sale for any bidder, or does it go to the person? Is it first pick to the person who applied?
It's first pick to the person who applied. The only time, if a neighbor does decide to apply, it could stop the whole process. If often when they get two applications, they will just decide that it's a dispute and they won't approve it. But otherwise, it will go through as a sale.
Are the other two property owners interested at all?
We don't know, but when it gets posted, we may find out. Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, great. And I think, yep, that's the end of my section. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, standing committee reports, finance and administration, Ms. Perry.
The first item on finance administration is that we are going to need a motion to appoint by resolution, which we have to do by December 31st each year for our independent auditor. And so what I am looking for a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-22, appointing, is it Mayor Dussel? Mayor Dussel? Mayor Dussel. I've only heard it for 8 years and I can never remember, as the Crafton Borough Independent Auditor for fiscal year 2023 to conduct the annual financial audit for the Borough of Crafton at a cost not to exceed $15,000.
So moved.
Mr. Marks,
Second.
Ms. Compitello, any discussion?
What, I appreciate the cost not to exceed $15,000. What would the expected cost be, or what might the variations
oh,
be?
Yeah, the last 2 years, it's been 13,900.
I think it's in here. Yeah, 13,939. 2022 is 13,301.
And it sounds like we've used them for quite some time. Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Cool.
The
Oh,
next
wait,
thing,
sorry. Yeah. So, any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
all right, the next item is that I wanted to bring attention to the millage rate, the fee schedule, and the wage rates that we are going to have to, that were put up with this year's information, but at our next meeting, we will have any recommendations for changes to that, and that we'll have to have discussion and have that approved. It's not part of the budget, and it isn't part of what gets advertised, but we do need to have that accomplished at the pretty much at the same time. No action today on that
Mhm.
one.
And those three are on the drive. So if you want to review what they look like and what they say, you can.
From
see
last
them.
year.
Right, and
Yeah,
it'll
last
be-
year's not up.
Last year's, yes.
Yeah. this-
So at the next finance committee meeting, which is before our next meeting, we'll have a report from the administration on any recommended changes, and then we'll bring them to council at that meeting. And then the most important one for tonight is that we need to have a motion to advertise and make available for public inspection the 2024 proposed budgets and the related resolutions that will be voted on at the December 14th, 2000. Too many 24s here. At the December 14th, 2023 meeting. So I am looking for a motion to advertise and make available for public inspection the 2024 proposed general, road, sewer, and capital fund budgets for adoption at the December 14th, 2023 council meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Marks,
Second.
Ms. Compitello, any questions or discussion?
When would we expect that to be available for public review?
On November 30th.
And when we say we're gonna advertise it, I imagine it goes to papers and stuff. Yeah, that's what we mean.
Yeah, it has to go to a legal paper of record, so it'll be going to the Post Gazette.
To the Post Gazette, because I
Yeah,
know,
because the Gazette 2.0
Gazette.
has folded.
correct. So, okay.
And the Post Gazette is now publishing paper copies. So,
Are we gonna make that available on the website and stuff too for folks?
Yeah, we'll have it available on the website. We will do it as a draft, so that it's watermarked and it'll be a PDF. But yeah, we'll have it on the website.
And I'll point out that this will actually be the first time that we'll be making it available in a digital form, and that you will not have to come to the office to look at it in the paper form.
Although that option will also be available.
Yes, it will.
any other questions or discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
And that's it for my committee.
All right, thank you. Community Services and Infrastructure, Ms. Compitello.
Sure, we have a number of updates tonight. The first one is a shorter one, the Broadhead project. We've been talking about for many months now. And we've had some detailed reviews of the status of that project. We are currently working on securing some of the easements needed before the project can go out to bid, and still looking to have that go out to bid soon. So we'll have that in front of council once it is ready to officially go out to bid. The multi-municipal zoning project update, the steering committee met this week, Wednesday, November 8th, to work through edits to the calibration tables. The steering committee plans to bring the draft documents to the planning commission for the end of the month. Steering committee has actually been meeting more than that as well. We've been meeting weekly, more or less for the past month or so. I know that some notices have gone out on Savvy Citizen, just to remind people of the status of this project and give continued opportunities to learn about it, to see what has already happened, and to give input. I know that there have been some reports of the website not working well. And Jim just fixed that this week. And if it is occurring again, or you're noticing issues, please let us know, because he is trying to stay on top of that. We don't own that website. That is managed by our consultant. So if there are issues with it, let us know and we get a hold of them and we make sure that it's fixed. But it should be working now. It has information on the overall, some overall summary of the project, what it's about. It has some recaps of some of the things that happened starting last summer. There was a workshop. It has the diagnostic report that came out last fall, if I'm remembering correctly. And then it does have an active survey that allows people to give input. And there are a couple of different options. This is, once again, it's a multi-municipal zoning project. So we are doing this as a Crafton and Ingram joint project. But we will each have our own zoning code. So they're being done collaboratively so we can be synchronized, since we have a lot of shared.
Click on the.
It's an external website that our consultant manages. So there are options on that website to read about the project overall and to give input on it overall, or to specifically choose either Crafton or Ingram and respond to questions specific to Crafton, if that's the option you choose. We have noticed throughout these past meetings that the zoning map still needs some additional updates. But some of the things that are on that website, if we have residents who see anything you'd like to comment on, you can do it through that, or you can obviously also reach out to the manager or to council members. And then finally, I wanted to also just clarify on that. It has gone longer than we initially thought it would, but there's a reason for that. There have been some gaps between when that last went to the public. It's been going through the calibration phase for quite some time. But I would say that is because our steering committee is being very, very thorough which is why there have been so many additional meetings. We've been having very, very thorough discussions and really going through line by line. So that has been a part of why it has drawn out, but the steering committee has been putting a lot of time into that. And the next step, once it goes through, once the steering committee finishes a full review and submits comments back to the consultants, the goal is again to have that to the planning commission for their review and input at the end of this month. And then the final stage of that is zoning, the full zoning calibration tables, the map, everything that's being proposed will go to public comment. There will be a public session to take in-person comment, and it will also be available online for public comment for a period of time. Nothing is finalized until it goes through that full period of public comment. So we still have additional steps, but we're in that phase of getting it reviewed and getting it a little bit more updated and more clear before the entire, it's a very, very lengthy, very text heavy. Zoning is pretty dense. There's a lot there. So we're getting it as prepared and as cleaned up as possible before the whole thing goes out for public review. Are there any questions on that? Next update is the pool bathhouse. The construction contractors brought up some issues recently regarding the back wall of the bathhouse. The contractors, the architect and the engineer agreed that the best option is to tear down the back wall, remove the rusted poles, and rebuild the wall from scratch. They've been starting their construction and found a rusted pole within one of the walls. So we're going to the option that they're recommending, this option requires a change order in the amount of $52,700. So I'm offering a motion to ratify a change order vote that was conducted via email on November 2nd and 3rd to council members, November 2nd and 3rd, 2023, to approve an additional $52,700 for MA Dunn to deconstruct and replace the rear wall of the bathhouse.
So a second.
It would be a second. So Mr. Marks,
Sure.
you second, okay. Discussion, question?
And just the details that were in the email were like what they found was structural steel poles that the wall was built around, right? And the wall wasn't built to be load bearing necessarily, and the poles that were actually supporting the structure were not in good enough shape. So in order to take those poles out, we have to take the wall down anyways. So then we were just going to build brick, the cement, the cinder block wall. It's in an appropriate way to be load bearing, and then we can just avoid steel poles that rust out or whatever.
And to clarify, it was actually several poles. I saw myself 4 pole, at least 3 or 4. We discovered this happens anytime you're doing a demolition first. You discover things that you wouldn't have discovered until you tear apart the concrete. And we discovered that the structure was actually originally built as a pavilion, and the steel poles were the 2 sides of the pavilion, and then they just covered them up with cinder block, but they just stacked the cinder block instead of interlacing it. So it's not very structurally sound for supporting a wall, for supporting a roof.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Speaking of other projects that have had increasing costs, the Public Works Building, we're currently working with the county to update the $200,000 CITF grant that we have for construction costs on the Public Works Building. We're working with the county and with Gateway and the engineering committee to develop a plan for the rest of the work on the Public Works Building. We have gotten that grant from the county, but it had some very specific language in it for how we would use it. And as the construction has continued, we're looking to still use that funding, but use it for slightly different components of the project. So we have to work with the county to update the grant and make sure that what we're using it for, we've submitted the right wording. The stairs project, this was also, has been updated in past meetings and was updated in our very last council meeting. The notice to proceed document has been signed and provided for the Belvedere stairs, and the 4 other sets will be sent out to bid this week.
I'd like to correct something. I thought I had corrected that, but it will be sent out by the end of this year, not this week. There's no need to rush to this. So we're looking a little deeper into this, and this will be sent out hopefully by the end of the year.
The 4 other sets will be sent out to bid by the end of this year. That makes more sense. It seemed very expedited. We had spoken about this at our last council meeting. We have several different sources of grant funding and had worked throughout the summer to try to identify 5 different stairs that we could upgrade, make safer using the amount of money that we had. And when the bids that we received came back in, the costs were higher than we had budgeted for. The one bid that came in below what we had expected was the one for the Belvedere stairs. So that one has been awarded. And like I said, the notice to proceed document has been signed. And those 4 other sets will be rebidding so that we can do them in a combined package and try to get a better price by putting them together and hopefully getting some economy of scale. They were initially all put out to bid as separate bids.
They all have been re-engineered somewhat too, to just be replaced in kind, as opposed to some of the additional features that were added without our not at our request. So
Yeah, we simplified them a little bit. So we'll try to get those out to bid, those 4 other sets out to bid by the end of the year, and try to get the costs down so that we are using the funds that we have and not going much beyond the grant funds that we're trying to use up. Next item is trail planning. This is money coming in. The borough manager has met with the DCNR representative to review the $39,100 grant requirements. We have received that fund, and the borough will now be proceeding to, I'm going to reword this slightly because it's confusing. The borough will be creating an RFP to select a firm to conduct the trail study. And then as we prepare that, we're also looking into how we'll be setting up a steering committee. So we'll have more information on that to come, but we will be looking to put together a steering committee to help with the planning process for the trail plan. And then finally, the consent order agreement, next steps. This is a bigger one. This was the topic of a lot of the engineering meeting this past week. We'll have this on the agenda in upcoming council meetings as well, with more information to come and plans to look at. So this is just kind of a general update for awareness for now. Our consent order states that Crafton is required to provide preliminary plans for the final projects that we need to ensure Crafton's compliance with our consent decree. The engineering committee reviewed the full list of potential projects and will be working with the engineers in the coming months to choose the best options based on cost, volume of stormwater captured, and related opportunity costs. And this is why it took a lot of time in the engineering meeting. They are looking at a lot of different options. Gateway, our engineers have been identifying various different ways from small projects to large projects, kind of assessing at a very high level, what are their best options? What are the potential captures that we could get in those to help us start getting towards a more informed decision about which ones we would like them to explore in more detail. We will need to identify some projects next year, primarily in the capture area that is around the shopping district, the shopping mall, up towards Ingram and around Crafton Park is generally the capture area that we're looking at. And they've looked at, again, they've been putting together a series of different potential options from stormwater tanks underground to smaller stormwater, green stormwater infrastructure projects that are more surface level, that are small, but they're putting together basically a menu of options that we'll be continuing to look at and explore over the next couple months, and then coming to council with some preferred options to look through in more detail and decide on. Any questions on that?
So, actually just, yes, a question to bring out the fact that the whole steps that you'll be looking at are geared towards being prepared to, put a request for grant in the March timeframe, to Alcoasand. So this is yet another project where, we're required to improve the capture for the one C20. And so all this work is being done and there's towards that end. So, the expectation is that there will be significant grant money to help us meet these goals.
That's correct. This would be another step beyond some of our previous stormwater projects, beyond the Broadhead project that we've been talking about so much this year, and that is getting very close to going out to bid. So it can get under construction next year. This would then be the next, we're positioning to have some initial concepts that we can use to prepare to seek that funding from Alcoasand and then move into the more advanced engineering for the following year so that we are continuing to stay on track with the requirements that we have for the consent decree.
And to mention, this is the last sewer that we would need to get to the requirements, and it's at 74%, I believe, and we have to get 10% or to 85, so we would just go 11%. And then we would be fulfilling with the Broadhead Street, the Crafton Boulevard, and all the work we would have met the consent order requirements. So that's really, really strong. C20 is located near the shopping center area. So it's near the shopping center and park area is where C20 is. Anything else?
That's all for my committee.
Okay, thank you. Communication, recreation, and community events, Ms. Bukalnik filling in.
All right. 2 events to just tell everyone about, remind everyone about. First up will be our celebration of lights. That will be on December 2nd, the first Saturday of December, from 4:30 to 6:30, right in Crafton Park. A lot of fun, festive activities are planned. Someone very special will be there, Mr. and Mrs. Claus, a snow princess. We'll have activities for kids, crafts. We're going to do some letters for Santa, cookies, hot chocolate. So a very holiday music. We'll have some live carolers. A lot of fun is planned, again, 4:30 to 6:30. Another thing we're doing that evening is a food drive. So encouraging anyone who comes, please bring any variety of canned items would be good, that we will be contributing to the Crafton Ingram Food Pantry. We'll also be accepting cash donations as well, with everything going to our local food pantry. I did look, because I know sometimes when the people are making donations, not that we all do it, a lot of people do a little pantry clean out. The items that most food pantries are going to be needing are going to be any canned fruits, canned vegetables, soups are good. Rice and pasta are always nice, but they usually do get those from the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank, as well as another item that I was told most food pantries need are cooking oil. So encouraging anyone to donate when they come down for a celebration of lights. One last note on that is we are still looking for any nonprofit organization. If you'd like to have a fundraiser booth at the event, there's still space available. You can email the recreation board, recreation@craftonborough.com, or you can also visit the Borough website as well, where that information is posted. Another thing, I'm sorry, real quick. I was talking to Andrea today from the food pantry, and she mentioned another thing that they might need are can openers. So that was another thing I had never thought about. So I'm throwing that out there as well. The second event in December for the Recreation Board is going to be the Holiday House Tour. That is in partnership with Crafton Heritage. This event, tickets are currently being pre-sold. You can buy tickets for the house tour online through the Borough website, as well as at the library or at Blue Snail. I will say, if you purchase your tickets in advance online, you can pay via credit card. If you go to Blue Snail or the library, it is cash only. So that is if you would like to get tickets for the house tour in advance. You can also get your tickets on the day of the event, which again is Sunday, December 10th. You can purchase your tickets on the day of at the library. I know I'm throwing a lot of information out. All of this information is on the Borough website as well. But on the day of, you pick up your, basically, I'm going to call it, your tour guidebook. You do pick that up at the library. So you'll get that to start your tour of the houses that are participating in the Crafton house tour. Trying to see if there's any other notes pertaining to the house tour. The information again is posted online, craftonborough.com/Christmas-house-tour. So all the information is posted as well as on Savvy Citizen. So I encourage anyone who's here or anyone who listens or watches, if you don't have Savvy Citizen, download it as an app, please do so. All of the information is there. Okay, so those are the events. We have our next newsletter, the final newsletter for 2023. Oh, breaking news, it's right
Uh-oh.
there. It's a
Still
draft, it's a draft, it's a draft, it's a draft. But that's a sneak peek, everyone. That should be arriving in your mailboxes in the next couple of weeks. So our last edition will be in homes before the. Oh, I thought that was like a recording.
Yeah.
Is it me?
Mhm.
That'll be in homes to take us into the end of this year. And another little note, just so everyone knows that we are currently in the process of working on a new Crafton logo. Some discussion about that has been ongoing. We are working with a designer who previously created the logo a few years ago, working with them to give us a more updated version, and he'll be working with Mayor Perry and some of us on that as well. But that is also coming just for a little bit more consistent brand messaging that we want to make sure we're using. So that was a lot of information on what is happening for our CRCE group.
Good. Any questions? Ms. Pekownik? Okay. Commission vacancy also, Ms. Pekownik.
Back to me, keep this a little shorter. So for our vacancies, again, doing a good job of having all of these filled. Currently, for any vacancy that is available, we have 2 alternative positions, one on civil service and one on the zoning hearing board. Both of those are alternative spots. You can apply at craftonborough.com/commissions. And upcoming will be some seats on the recreation board. Those aren't available until the end of this year, starting next. So couple seats available. If anyone is interested, please just the information is online and you can apply there as well.
Great. All right. Council of Governments, Mr. Marks.
So there hasn't been a COG meeting since the last council meeting, so nothing to report there. The next upcoming COG meeting is on November 16th at 6:30 in Crescent Township.
Great. All right. Community announcements. So our next council meeting is changed because 2 weeks would be November 23rd, I believe, which is Thanksgiving. Guess council decided we didn't want to meet on Thanksgiving, unfortunately, so it will be Thursday, November 30th. The budget workshop will be at 6:30 and the council meeting will start at 7:15. And then after the meeting, if we need additional time, we'll continue with the budget workshop. And that was discussed tonight. Celebration of Lights, Ms. Pekownik went through that along with the food drive and also the holiday house tour. Some more information on there. You can buy your tickets online. I believe, are they still looking for houses?
Not at this time. I only say that because I am 99% sure the programs have been
Already done.
created and are being produced.
Okay. And this is back after 3-year hiatus for COVID. And get your tickets fast because it has left Crafton, as I've heard, and gone into the city where people are buying tickets outside of Crafton and wanting to come and see all of our beautiful houses. So it is on Next Pittsburgh, and I think it got some other publicity out there. So make sure to get your tickets early. All right. Does anybody else have anything else to add to the agenda? Public comment. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers. What's wrong? Oh, he hasn't. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and physical address for the record. Do we have anybody but Charlene? Come on.
First, I want to thank everybody for all the work they've done this year and hope it continues next year. Second, I just wanted to comment, I know this is like a dead horse, but I was walking that 2 weeks ago, right around the end of the school day, and when the school buses come up Crafton Boulevard, and I actually witnessed them turning. They cannot make that turn onto Crafton Boulevard towards the school. There were cars there. The cars had to all back up so they could turn, and they hit the curb across. So it should have been a wider, so they could make a wider turn. It's not really safe. It's right. They hit the sidewalk right over on across the street there. And,
Clearview?
yeah, no, Crafton Boulevard in Bradford.
Bradford.
Yeah. Mhm.
Charlene, can you say your name and where you live?
Oh, I'm sorry, Charlene Frankie, 800 Clearview Avenue.
Thank you. All right. Oh, yeah. They can't hear you unless.
If there is an accident, can they sue the borough?
Anybody can sue anybody.
Well, we don't want to be liable, so,
Well, we have protection under the Tort
Okay.
Claims Act, so.
okay.
It was engineered to engineering standards.
All right. Next is Jane Boyer.
Hi, I just have a
No.
short comment. Hi, I have a short comment.
Your
My-
name and address.
Jane, Jane Boyer, Boyer, 28 Duncan Avenue, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15205. Cordial 2545 are the digits. 28 Duncan Avenue. I would just like to say, please, everybody stand up for the Pittsburgh Police and also Crafton Police, because they have been here for me, Jane Boyer, at 28 Duncan Avenue during my time of need. Pittsburgh Police are working with the FBI, and I won't say, but it's just wonderful, wonderful work. And I think that their digits are really accountable. I would like to be the first one to say thank you for Crafton Police, 15205.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Jane.
Anybody else? Okay, anybody online, just raise your hand.
Nobody online.
Okay. Very good. With that, meeting is adjourned at 8:08. Thank you.